At the beginning, let me show you that I have the smartphones. I know that there are crazy people making fake videos, fake camera comparison videos. I really hate those videos. Okay, OnePlus 9 Pro comes with 4 rear camera sensors. The main sensor is 48 megapixel IMX789. There is a 50 megapixel ultrawide sensor IMX766. Also there is a 8 megapixel sensor for 3.3x optical zoom, and there is another 2 megapixel monochrome sensor. On the other hand, Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra got a Samsung GN2 50 megapixel sensor underneath that main lens, and there are two 48 megapixel sensors. Both are Sony IMX586. One is underneath that periscope lens and another is underneath that ultra wide lens. Okay, if you end up liking this video, then please don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe to this channel. Now let's start our camera comparison. Let's start differently. These are selfie photos taken in a very tricky lighting condition at night. But as you can take selfie photos with rear camera of Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra, it has clearly done better. But I must say, it's not that better. I have found that when we try to use the rear display as a viewfinder for the rear camera, pictures are a bit differently processed. It acts more like a selfie camera with beauty effect, and tonal contrast also gets changed. Anyway, if you check the photos on the left, then you would notice that it's unfair, cause OnePlus 9 Pro selfies are as poor as a mid-range device, especially at night. Yeah, later we will check daytime selfie photos. Both have very good sensors, GN2 on Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra and IMX789 on OnePlus 9 Pro. Both have big pixel size, 1.4 micron versus 1.12 micron. I was excited to see a huge bump in camera performance at night. Night mode photos. But night mode performance of these two is similar to iPhone 12 Pro Max and Samsung S21 Ultra. Yes, occasionally Mi 11 Ultra is better than OnePlus 9 Pro, but the difference between these two is not like day and night. After checking a lot of night mode photos, I have found Mi 11 Ultra has more details and textures than OnePlus 9 Pro. It looks sharper and color rendition is even better on Mi 11 Ultra. Yes, a lot depends on how you like your photos. Some people would argue that if night mode photos are not bright enough, if it doesn't increase visibility, then why we need night mode? But I think there are 4 factors that defines a good night mode photo. I call it DENS, details, exposure, noise and shadows. If a smartphone camera have these 4 correct in night mode photos, then I will surely go with that. I know some of big YouTubers are praising OnePlus 9 Pro, but here Mi 11 Ultra got more details, balanced exposure, low noise and shadows are far better. What do you think? Which one is better? Regular photography is the most important thing for almost all the average users. People open smartphone camera and start to take photos. Yes, both of these two smartphones have Pro mode and OnePlus 9 Pro offers a bit more than others in its Pro mode. Of course, in Pro mode you can change settings, select different options and take a shot which gives a perfect shot of your choice, but it is true that average users usually take photos in auto mode. So, let me tell you that I have taken all these images in auto mode with auto HDR on. AI and scene detection was also enabled. The moment you check these photos side by side, you would notice 4 main differences or issues: white balance, tonal contrast, color rendition and texture processing. Mi 11 Ultra has maintained cool color tone, true to life skin tone. Color rendition is also close to reality. On the other hand, OnePlus 9 Pro, like its predecessors, reproduced images with a bit of magenta cast with warm tone and a bit higher midtones. Highlights and shadows are almost similar, but Mi 11 Ultra is edge ahead. Texture processing on Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra is really better than OnePlus 9 Pro. OnePlus 9 Pro actually tries to sharpen the whole image, which may be a good thing in some different scenarios, but not a good thing for all the photos. When I have found that dynamic range, ambience and light metering is better on Mi 11 Ultra, I was a bit surprised because OnePlus always brag about these. Okay, the most important part for me is details and shadows, cause after you take a photo, if you want to edit, you cannot add details, you cannot change the shadows. In terms of details and shadows, Mi 11 Ultra is well ahead. I have mentioned earlier, it even processed more textures. Finally, OnePlus have been bragging about this Hasselblad color calibration, and yes, definitely OnePlus 9 Pro is better than OnePlus 8 Pro, but it is nowhere near Mi 11 Ultra, Mi 11 Pro or other true flagships. Don't take my words for it. These images says it all, and you can even try it by yourself. Okay, these clips were recorded at 4K 30 frames per second, and straightforward, there are a few issues. OnePlus 9 Pro grabbed more details, the whole video looks sharper, but obviously it overexposed with high ambience and shadows. Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra on the other hand have higher dynamic range, better exposure and highlights. Yes, contrast ratio is an issue, but if you check that great stabilization, then it gets ahead of OnePlus 9 Pro. Also, color rendition and skin tone is far better on Mi 11 Ultra. I will let you enjoy these clips for a while. You can check the microphones and sound quality.
这把走，慢慢的走，别太快了。你来这儿，
没有招呼过你。
有人吗？
没有，放心大胆的往前走，啥都没有。快走。
好了，拜拜。
Yes, there is a 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 sensor underneath that periscope lens, and obviously this one got OIS. Mi 11 Ultra offers 5x optical, 10x hybrid and yes, up to 120x digital zoom. Actually the sensor is the same as Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra, and for sure it is difficult for a 8 megapixel sensor behind an old school telephoto lens. But wait, after checking a lot of photos, actually the difference is not that big if you do not go beyond their own optical zoom boundaries. OnePlus 9 Pro starts to fall behind once you start to go beyond 5x zoom, because after 3.3x, OnePlus 9 Pro has to depend on heavy digital cropping. I need to mention that Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra stock camera algorithm seems unpolished for this periscope lens. It has some unnecessary skin smoothing effect. Color rendition and skin tone is also not as good as the main sensor. But I can clearly remember that Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra also had some issues at the very beginning, and with a few updates it became way better. As we can see here, Mi 11 Ultra is already better with good exposure, highlights and shadows, but with better texture processing and better skin tone, things will put it even far from its competitors. Both have great sensors for ultra-wide shots, but definitely OnePlus 9 Pro has the better sensor for ultra-wide shots. It has a Sony IMX766 50 megapixel sensor, and Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra got another Sony IMX586 48 megapixel sensor underneath ultra-wide lens. The first thing you'd notice in ultra-wide photos is field of view. FOV is slightly wider on Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra, and then you would notice that no matter whether outdoor or indoor, OnePlus 9 Pro kept the trend of warm tone, and surprisingly, dynamic range is a bit better on OnePlus 9 Pro. I am surprised cause in main sensor photos, Mi 11 Ultra dynamic range is better. There are a few differences like white balance and saturation, skin tone in outdoor environment under bright daylight and in indoor environment under low light changes randomly. Sometimes OnePlus 9 Pro and sometimes Mi 11 Ultra managed to process more details, but I am a bit disappointed about that free-form lens. OnePlus have been talking a lot about this. They said it would fix the distortion, and yes, it does something to straighten, but it doesn't change the perspective. Another issue I have found on OnePlus 9 Pro is occasional bump in saturation. Most of the times it's not saturated, but depending on ambient lighting and colors, some photos are a bit saturated. Mi 11 Ultra actually produced brighter images with good balance between highlights and vibrance. None of these two smartphones can use telephoto lens for portrait photos and rather depends on the main sensor. This is a bit harsh for any $1,000 smartphone. It's easy cause no 52mm lens means no 52mm portrait. However, by default, it applies a 2x digital zoom for portrait shots. Suddenly, OnePlus 9 Pro started to produce images with extremely high beautification. Bokeh effect seems a bit too blurry, and in many occasions, the subject got insanely separated from the background. I have tried to fix the aperture manually and then it was a bit better, but in auto mode, bokeh effect and separation line blend performance is like hit or miss. On the other hand, Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra performance is way better than its predecessors. Correct skin tone, more details on the subject, creamy bokeh effect, faster autofocus, and clean separation line blend without any artifacts makes this Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra one of the best. These are selfie portraits, and I know a few minutes earlier I was unhappy with OnePlus 9 Pro for poor rear camera bokeh effect. Now in selfie camera portrait photos, Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra has the same issue, way too heavy bokeh effect, but surprisingly more details and textures. Correct skin tone makes things better on Mi 11 Ultra. But once again, heavy saturation, poor edge detection makes things equal with OnePlus 9 Pro. None of these are winner here. Even Google Pixel 5 offers better selfie portraits. I am not only surprised but also amazed to see this type of superb selfie photos from a Xiaomi smartphone. I was very happy with Xiaomi Mi 11 Pro cause I got that a bit ahead of this Mi 11 Ultra. But now it seems Mi 11 Ultra is the true king, the emperor. I am feeling frustrated that I have spent about $875 for this OnePlus 9 Pro. Aren't you surprised with the selfie camera performance? I have never been very fond of OnePlus selfie camera videos cause it always have exposure issue. OnePlus 7s, OnePlus 7 Pro, OnePlus 8, OnePlus 8 Pro all had this same issue, and here it comes again, the same issue on OnePlus 9 Pro. Saturation and vibrance is also not good on OnePlus 9 Pro. Without any hesitation, my winner is Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra. Okay, it's time to wrap up. What do you think? Which one is overall winner? Please don't forget to let me know what other camera comparison videos you would like to watch, and if you have liked this video then please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel.